This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared by students, faculty, alumni, and other members of the USC community.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Viterbi Voices, the podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Paul Ledesma. I'm the Executive Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering. And who's that? Who's joining me now?
And I'm Cameron. I'm your other host. I am a senior studying computer science and business administration at the Viterbi School.
I hope I know who you are, Cameron. I was trying to be cute, and then I realized it probably wasn't helpful to everybody. Anyways, we're back with another episode, and this is a replay recording of a live event that just happened. Cameron, tell everybody what we're going to be listening to today.
Yeah, so we're going to be listening to the Transfer Students Live Chat. This is an event that just happened this past week, and we're just talking about questions with a live panel of students just directed towards transfer students, their experiences, getting to USC, how they felt, their student life, and just anything that people really want to ask transfer students about. Yeah,
so we're coming up on the transfer application deadline of February 15th. So if you are a student considering applying to the Viterbi School of Engineering as a transfer student from another university, your application to apply is February 15th, and that's completing the Common App and the USC questions as a transfer applicant. This conversation might be helpful to you to get a better sense of what this place is all about, and because it is some of our students here at USC that have transferred from other institutions to talk about what life is like. A transition that is definitely challenging. It's different to move from university to university midstream, whether you come from a community college, another university, all across the board. Everybody has a unique background, and that's the one thing that everybody should get to know is that there is no one type of transfer student, and everybody comes from different backgrounds. But when you come here, you may feel weird, you may feel alone, but hopefully what you'll find, and I think what you'll find in this conversation is it's nerve-wracking, but as you get here, you start to realize, oh, I'm just part of the place, which is great. And so hopefully you start to identify and find your community here. We're not going to do a back end conversation on the back of this because it's probably going to go long enough without it. And so I just want to remind you, if you are a transfer student, make sure you apply. You can learn more about our transfer process. Also on the transfer application process, the ins and outs, how to take the right classes, how to do the advisement the right way at our website, viterbiadmission.usc.edu/transfer. There are also other transfer advisement sessions that are going on by our staff here, and other events that are going on to help you with that application process as you roll through that. So make sure you check that out and check out our YouTube channel for other types of other live events that we've put up. So check that out. Best of luck to you as transfer applicants. We look forward to getting your application and enjoy this conversation, which was a student live chat, all with transfer students.
Let's get the live chat started. First things first, we want to welcome each and every one of you once again to the Transfer Students in Engineering live chat brought to you by us, real life engineering students who were once in your shoes not too long ago. Before we move on, I do want to thank our panelists for taking time out of their Sundays to join us. All right, so shown here is the agenda for the next hour. We'll be kicking it off by introducing our panelists for the evening, who are all current engineering students here at USC. And then we'll move on to a nice Q&A session where you'll be able to submit your questions through the webinar Q&A feature. Though I will ask you to hold out on submitting any questions until we get to that Q&A portion. Pretty obvious, but given the title, but today we'll be discussing what it's like to be a transfer student here at USC, specifically in engineering. Any question about the student experience in USC in engineering or just college in general is totally fair game. If you're viewing the live chat recording at a later date, don't worry. You can still email us with your questions at thestudent@usc.edu. We may not get to all of your questions during the live chat, so if we don't cover them all, feel free to email us and we'll follow up with a response. But for now, hold off on submitting questions until we get to that Q&A portion. As a reminder, we're just students and we want to share the student perspective of Viterbi. We cannot answer the majority of admissions-related questions. Please direct all your questions to our admissions staff. At the end of the session, we'll spend a few minutes going over how to get in touch with Viterbi Admission Office, how to stay in touch with us, as well as share some resources that will be very helpful to navigating the application process. So without further ado, let's go on and introduce ourselves, and I will kick it off. Hi guys, I'm Kaleigh, and I will be your host for tonight. I use she, her pronouns. I am a current sophomore here at USC studying astronautical engineering and minoring in photography, and I'm from Bakersfield, California. Some things I'm involved in on campus include USC's Rocket Propulsion Lab. I have done undergraduate research both my freshman and my sophomore year at SERC, which stands for the Space Engineering Research Center, where I've worked in CubeSat development. I am also part of NSBE, which is National Society of Black Engineers here at USC. All right, and now we're going to move on to the introductions of our amazing panelists.
Hi, I'm George. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm a junior. Currently, I'm doing biomedical engineering, and I'm from Houston, Texas. And I'm currently involved with ASBME, which is the Associated Students of Biomedical Engineering. I'm also in med design, and I founded the USC Slovak Club. And I'm also currently a USC Kaplan Test Prep Campus Ambassador.
Hi, I'm Salma. I'm class of 2025, so I'm a current sophomore. My major is civil engineering, building science. I'm from Austin, Texas, and some of the things I'm involved in campus is the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and I'm also a part of the new student advisory board, and I'm a director in it. And I'm also an academic tutor. I work on campus, and I'm also in the American Society of Civil Engineers Younger Membership Forum.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kenneth, and my pronouns are he and him. I am currently a senior studying computer science, and I am from Monterey Park, California. So some of my involvements include the SC Cycling Club, the USC Swim Club, the Chinese American Student Association, and the Association for Computing Machinery.
Alrighty, so those are all your panelists. We'll finally be introducing our moderators who will be behind the scenes responding to some of the questions that don't get answered live by our panelists. So let's meet them.
Hi, everybody. My name is Aisha. I am a current junior studying biomedical engineering, and I'm also pre-med. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm originally from Kaneohe, Hawaii.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jordan. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a current junior studying computer science. And originally, I'm from Kent, Washington.
All righty. So now it is time to start submitting your questions. If you're on the webinar, we encourage you to submit questions through our Q&A feature that we have here. But if you're viewing the recording, just a reminder that you can email us with your questions that you have through the vstudent@usc.edu email, and we'll get back to you on a later date. We want you all to know that just a few years ago, we were in your shoes applying for colleges, and we know that this could be extremely stressful. We want to help you try to decide what is the best fit for you. So that's why we're here to answer your questions and speak about our experiences. All right. I will start us off with a question for our panelists. I'm going to start off with, I guess, a sort of easy one. I want you guys to describe your typical day as a student here at USC.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go. So for me, a typical day, I really like to plan everything out. Usually I use Google Calendar, and I usually wake up, have breakfast. Then I like to go for a workout, whether it's like a run or just like going to the gym. And afterwards, going to my classes. After classes, I usually try to like grab lunch with a friend. And after that, I go to more classes. And then in the afternoon, either I go to club meetings, or sometimes 2 days a week, I also teach a fitness class as well too.
So cool.
Yeah, I can answer that question as well. So just like George, I also use a Google Calendar, and I like to plan out my time and be intentional with how I spend my time. And so, basically the same deal is just wake up, go to class, lunch, gym, all that. It's just very routinely based. So I just plan out the entire week really, and I just am aware of what I need to do throughout the day.
Yeah, I like to start my day a little early. Like I am trying to be more intentional, at least like this year, like as a new like resolution, is getting up at least like an hour and a half or maybe even 2 hours before like I know I need to leave for a class, and just kind of use that morning time to take the time to have a breakfast, have a workout, plan out my day, my week, and kind of just get organized and ready and kind of have like a calm time. And just like that lets me be like more productive throughout like the class day and like more focused and just calmer.
No, yeah, I totally get that. I've started to try to wake up like 2 hours before my classes because like trying to like get up and just run out it was so hectic. Yeah, it's definitely nice to just like take the time for myself and like get out. But yeah, you guys seem like you guys are all pretty busy. I think that I can speak for most USD students, but it's pretty busy, and using those like Google calendars, so helpful in navigating my day. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. This is about specifically like being a transfer student. What was the transition process like for you, and like what was the hardest part of that?
I guess I can start. So I would say it's not even just like as a transfer, I think, but college in general, just like the social aspect of like how you're gonna like form those connections. And also coming as a transfer student, you have to keep in mind a lot. Like some people already know each other, like especially in your classes. And so if you do want to have that social connection, which is really, really important, especially as a new student, so you don't get like isolated and like you can have a happy and like healthy experience, you do really have to kind of push yourself and kind of put yourself out there. And that's something that I think I've been doing a lot since coming here, just to make sure that like it's something that I need to make an effort on, because everyone else has their own groups already, so everyone else is comfortable. So if you want that, you need to really like work on that and put in the effort. And I guess like another adjustment that I had when I first came here is like the academics. Like I've always been used to like as applying like to college, like there's always like I've always had like a lot to do, but just like the level is always like an adjustment period. Things are like harder, some things might be easier, and just like how everything works, like readjusting to like a new academic system is definitely like an area to grow in.
I definitely agree. And I think that kind of joining clubs and also starting volunteering or even getting involved with research is a great way to kind of directly start getting involved with the community and then also kind of meeting people as well. I've met so many people through like all the clubs I've joined, and then now most of them are my friends. And I think that makes it a much easier transition. And also in that time, you can also gain experience and also kind of figure out even what you want to do eventually with internships and job opportunities as well.
Yeah, I agree with both George and Salma in the sense that you need to put yourself out there. You can't just magically go in and then expect everyone's going to be your friend, right? So join clubs and put yourself out there. And then one of the other struggles I faced transferring here was that, so I come from a community college. And so a lot of the professors or actual teachers, instructors, they're kind of, the intention for them when they teach is to instruct the students. Whereas, at a research university like USC, their main intention may not be to teach. Although they do teach, that may not be their pure primary focus. And so that was something that, I had to keep in mind while transferring from the community college to USC.
Yeah, no, I definitely get what all you guys are saying, especially with like being able to like integrate into a community that seems already pretty established. I know that can definitely be difficult, which is one of the reasons I'm so glad that USC has so many opportunities to get involved in things, because it makes it so much easier to like make friends and really like figure out where you like belong in the grand scheme of things. So your answers were super fantastic. And sort of to continue on this topic of like the transition from your previous institution to USC, we have a question in the Q&A feature asking, why did you choose to leave your previous academic institution?
Okay, so I guess I can start with this one too. For me, it felt pretty obvious, like in terms of like at least academically, like major wise. they just didn't have the major that I wanted. I'll be a little bit more clear. I transferred from Syracuse University, and so I started out at Syracuse in environmental engineering, but I've always wanted to like do more like design sort of things. Like I've always been interested in like engineering, architecture. So I switched to civil, but then I realized like if I did want to do something with architecture, I would have to minor in it, and minoring in architecture is very difficult just because of all the course load and like classes that you have to take. So I realized that wouldn't have been realistic for me, at least like graduating on time and like having a normal like balanced schedule. So I decided to like look into other colleges that maybe had a major that kind of fit in my interest more. And that's when I like found out about the building science program at USC. That's basically a form of like architecture, but it's for engineers, and it's still like in the civil engineering department. So you're still kind of getting those architecture classes, and you're learning everything that a student in architecture is, but it's just like a more condensed version for to fit in with your engineering major.
I was going to say also it was similar for me because I also did not kind of have the opportunity to do biomedical engineering, and USC does have a biomedical engineering major. And also additionally, on top of that, USC has so many resources in terms of research. And for example, getting involved with Curve or even reaching out directly to professors, I think for me, just like the amount of opportunities that I kind of was able to get involved in once I was at USC was unparalleled. And I think I made the right choice. And that made me pretty much really happy because it in a way validated everything I worked so hard for.
Yeah. Well, my reason is a little more practical. I came from a community college, so I was looking to get a 4-year undergraduate degree. And so inevitably I chose USC for the alumni network, the education, and the opportunities that USC had to offer. So yeah.
Yeah, no, the Trojan family is pretty phenomenal. That's one of the biggest reasons that I picked going here. I'm not a transfer student, but that was definitely something upon like choosing colleges a couple years ago. I was very, very, very like drawn to USC for that reason, because I mean, you want to get a job after, right? And so having those connections is so important. I know Kenneth sort of touched on this a tiny bit before, but Will asked, how are the teachers at USC?
Wow, that's I'll take that question. That's kind of broad to take. I feel like every teacher has their own teaching style. And I did brush up, and I'll bring it up again, that, not every professor is there to instruct and to teach, although there are some that do and enjoy it, So it's kind of like you just have to do your research on who the professor is and decide if that's the professor that you want to learn from. And just do your research. That's the best way to prepare yourself for the professors here.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think anywhere you're going to find some really good ones and some not super good ones. But, like asking people that took the class before you is great, and doing your research and just like knowing like your learning style, I think is also really important, because a professor might like not work for someone else, but work great for you. So it really just depends on like the courses you're taking, how you learn, and like research. Yeah.
And I think also in general, all of the professors here are incredibly accomplished. So if you are looking for research opportunities, I would definitely say, like, for whatever classes you truly enjoy, really passionate about, if you really click with the professor, that could even lead into more opportunities. And I think here the professors are really, really encouraging of that, and even potentially working in one of their labs too.
Yes, yes.
I would say like so far my experience with like professors here, this is going to be my second semester at USC since I transferred in the fall. But my first semester, I did have a class that was very difficult. The professor was really kind and everything, but I would say like, when you do have a situation that does feel like challenging and you're not like really sure what to do, I would say communicating with your professor, like really going to those office hours. I know sometimes it's a little daunting. Some students do feel shy about that, but I definitely got over that. I'm like, I need to do this. Like I need to learn this material in order to graduate and like, know this for my career. So I would say definitely like go to office hours if you're unsure. And also like even if it is a class that maybe is really difficult and the professor might not be their main focus, but it is like a person that you're really interested in like learning more about, like definitely get to know them more, because some professors here especially have a lot of accomplishments and they're very interesting people, and I think they can be really interesting to know like on a more personal level.
Yeah, no, I totally love that answer. That is very, very true. Okay, we're going to move in a slightly different direction, kind of, sort of. We'll ask, what programs do you appreciate that are exclusive to USC?
I think it started with that. So I think Curve is an amazing program. It gives you the opportunity to be matched with a professor, and also eventually it gives you the opportunities to work on research. And for me, it was great because I got to work on neuroscience research. And also additionally, you can pretty much select what research projects you want to do. And then over time, you can kind of develop it out. And also it kind of gives you the chance to, in the future, keep working with that professor or with that lab. And then even if you want to eventually do your own research project, manuscript, or even have some kind of paper as well too. I think those opportunities are truly unique to USC, and it also kind of gives you the opportunity to even have funding for your research as well.
Yeah, I was a Curve student my freshman year, and I think it's an amazing program just to be able to like sort of come onto a campus with like literally no experience whatsoever, knowing no one, having taken no classes, and being able to be like paid to do research was such a great learning experience. So I think that that's something that is just so unique and remarkable. And I think it opens a lot of doors for just like doing research in the future, or figuring out that you hate it, because it's important to know that you might not like something. And just like building upon your skills and becoming a better engineer and a better scientist. I think that was a really, really great program, and I absolutely loved it.
I would have to say, honestly, like I know I kind of already might have mentioned this a bit before when the why USC, like why I transferred. I would have to say, honestly, the building science major, because when I was in the transfer process trying to find a program that would fit for me, USC was the only school that I had seen that actually had this program, like specifically with like all these details like architecture and combining like engineering. And so I would say like that has been definitely very important to me. It's been really impactful in like the way that I look at my major, because even though it is work, like anything will be work, but it's something that I genuinely enjoy and can see myself like doing it in the future. And it's also something that I've always wanted to do, like since I was younger, like architecture and like engineering. So I would say that's something that I've definitely found a lot of purpose in since coming here. So that is definitely very unique. So if anyone is interested in that sort of program, like USC is definitely the place for that.
Yeah, I totally agree with all those answers. I think that USC does a good job of like having a wide variety of like engineering disciplines and like concentrations that you can do, which I think is really cool, because like we have like computer science, but then you have like computer science business and like computer science games. So there's a lot of like different avenues you can take with it. I know for me, USC is like the only school that I think had like an astronautical specific program rather than just aerospace, because I wasn't really interested in like planes. Like I really just wanted to focus on like space. So that was one of the big reasons I chose here too, is because they had a program that was just so specific to what I wanted to do, that I couldn't really find anywhere else. All right, the next question is, what sort of extracurricular activities did you guys do before transferring to USC?
Yeah, I'll answer that question. So I was on the swim team at my community college. So I don't know if that helped, but I think that, it kept me active, and I think staying active keeps me happy, and it helps me stay focused on my, when I'm studying and all that. So I guess being active, but more importantly, I think what was helpful was that I was on the computer science club as well in my previous institution, and I'm able to write about that in my application.
I also did research like previously, and then I wrote about that in my application, and kind of how I wanted to take it to next level at USC. And then in addition to that, I was really involved with a Slavic club, but I actually got the chance to found one at USC. So that was also like a really amazing next step. And then finally, I was involved with a startup that was actually like co-founded by USC students. So it was great because I kind of got like a glimpse into what it would be like. And then I got in, which was amazing.
Yeah, I would say like one of the clubs that I'm in here that was also very similar to one that I was in Syracuse was SHIP, the Hispanic Professional Engineer Society. And it's because like they're a national organization. So it was kind of nice to have that sort of sense of being familiar with something when coming to USC as a transfer, just because I had been in the SHIP club before, and like it's all like a common network of, and they're all like have similar resources and similar programming. So that kind of felt like a welcoming sort of experience when coming here, was to have like that experience previously.
Alrighty. We're going to move on to sort of like career opportunities that are at USC. So there's a question asking, what kind of help and opportunities does the career office at USC offer to students?
So I can kind of take that question as someone who actually both worked at the Career Center as a student support team member and also utilized their services. Whenever I was applying for my like first internships after my sophomore year, I kind of went there for advice, and they kind of pretty much told me how I should have one specific section that was focused really specific on research in my resume, another section that was focused on more of the operations / engineering aspects that would be very similar to the role that I would be doing in my internship that I actually ended up doing this past summer, and essentially kind of tailoring your resume to whatever company you're applying for or even internship experience that you're looking for is vital, because that way you'll kind of showcase to the employers that you already have the skills and experience, and then you'll be able to translate that to that role in that internship.
Yeah, that I really, really do like that about the career office. I mean, I like going there because of like resume help. I think that that's one big thing, or like mock interview stuff, because they're always emailing and have so many things. You can like get your headshots done sometimes. It's really helpful, which is nice because like you forget that that's something that you need, and then like companies are like, oh, I want your headshot, and you're like, oh, okay. So having like this opportunity to get like a professional headshot, so valuable, and you'd forget about it, but it's pretty important. Yeah, do the rest of you guys have anything you'd like to share about that?
Definitely resume help. I have a friend that works in the career center, and I remember like the first career fair here that I had, like it was this past fall. I had no idea what to expect, and I just went up to her and I asked her like, hey, like you obviously like you work with a lot of resumes like on a daily basis, like how does this look, like what should I do? And she was very helpful. She also like gave me this link to the website the career center has for a bunch of like mock templates for a lot of like resumes. They also do cover letters and other like references, and I've actually used that for some of the internships that I've been applying for this summer, and I found it really helpful.
Yeah, I can also add onto that. I was able to attend a bunch of workshops held by the Career Center that just talks about, anything and everything that you need to know when it comes to internships, jobs, cover letters, resumes, anything under the sun, like career related, they'll have a workshop on. So I can attest to that. And then we also have access to this tool called VMock, where you could submit your resume and then it'll like process this, give a bunch of statistics driven by some AI tech that gives you great feedback on everything on your resume. So that's incredibly helpful as well.
Yes, yes. So much resume help. I think that like the Career Center is just, it's so helpful because it has like more than you need, to be honest, to a certain extent. Like they're always having things. So there's never like, it's never like not available. Like it's like too accessible almost to a certain extent, which is very, very nice. All right. The next question is, how did you go about integrating into higher division classes once you transferred? I know we sort of touched on this, but it seems to be pretty prevalent.
I think the course load will increase and kind of the rigor of courses will increase. So some study strategies that, for example, you're using in high school and maybe even in your first year are not going to cut it. So you kind of have to relearn how you study, relearn how you prioritize your time, and also how you tackle assignments. And one very big thing about like engineering classes, it's very problem solving based instead of, I would say, like memorization based. So you have to really learn how to like integrate those problem solving skills and actually utilizing it for your assignments or even studying for exams. And one really useful resource on campus is the CoreCheck Center that specializes in learning. And I did some consulting sessions with them as well too, which is really helpful in terms of time management and also using things like the Pomodoro method to study as well.
Yeah, I would say like definitely like when you are trying to adjust to those challenging courses, really I'm not in my junior year yet, but I've already I definitely like had to adjust the way that I'm used to studying just to be able to do a better job, like trying to be more efficient. And I would also like say like prioritizing a space where you feel like you can be productive is really important. I know sometimes studying in your room sometimes is like the most comfortable option. Maybe it is the only option for others, but like if you are there for a while, at least for me, it does begin to feel a bit unproductive. And so I think it's really important to just kind of hold yourself accountable and getting yourself out to a library or just a quiet space on campus or just like a place that you feel like you can focus and that will help you keep on top of your stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of my biggest challenges when transferring was that the assignments by far were a lot more difficult. And so they needed more time. And not only that, but you'd have to start ahead of time. As soon as it was assigned, you'd have to start on time. Before my previous institution, I would start a little bit later, near closer to the deadline, and I could get away with it. But I think as you start to move on to the higher division classes, you start to learn and pick up that skill of starting earlier and working on your assignments earlier to get to the grades that you want.
Yes, those are all fantastic answers. The next is a little bit more about like the application process. The question is, how did you tackle the essay prompts for transfer students?
I can start this one. So for this, it definitely is really difficult because sometimes it's like you have no idea like where to start from. I looked at the prompts. I definitely went to one of the USC info sessions that did like talk a little bit about the prompts, and like an admissions officer was going over like some of the examples they've had in the past that they thought were really unique or appreciated reading. So I did that. And honestly, there are so many resources online that you can find like people that will give like their advice, like different like college like prep websites that will like give their advice on like how to tackle like the USC essay questions. Also like a lot of great videos that I found of someone like sharing sort of what they wrote and like why, and kind of like explain the sort of structure that they used or their transfer journey. And I found that very helpful when trying to like navigate how I could express myself best in this essay and like kind of creating your own structure there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think also in a way, kind of envisioning yourself like at USC and kind of thinking about the version of yourself that you want to be at USC. And then also seeing how your current experiences and leadership roles kind of will translate to your experience at USC. And I think telling stories, I think just from your roles and experiences, is really compelling, and it can really showcase your character, who you are, and just trying to tell it in a very genuine, authentic way, I think is really important.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what George said about being authentic. And then I suppose generally just understanding that, why you're applying to USC, understanding what your intentions are, and then what USC can offer you and what you can offer to USC. And I think that's generally what they're looking for is, are you a good fit for the school? And if you, if you're a good fit for the school, I think that's the most important thing that they're looking for.
Yeah, remember when applying here, just anywhere, it's like it has to match both ways. So how are you gonna, use your skills and contribute to USC, but also how is USC gonna contribute to you? Because it could or could not be the right place. Like, I think it's amazing school, but it might not be great for someone else. So just considering, what it has to offer you and what you have to offer it is something that's very important. And yes, being authentic, be authentic, be authentic. I think that's something that they all said, and it's so, so important. All right. So I think we're going to be able to get in like 2 more questions. So first one being, what is one thing that you did not expect that surprised you about USC?
I guess like something right away that I noticed was how open and friendly everyone is. Like I know this might sound like a little silly, but I have not met like anyone at USC that I have not everyone that I've met so far, like I've liked. Everyone has been kind in some way. Like I've never dealt with anyone mean or anyone rude. So I just think that everyone here is very genuine, like very friendly. So that was something that was like a nice, pleasant surprise.
I definitely agree. And I feel like everyone is so friendly here, kind, and also incredibly accomplished. Like so many people here like have done so many amazing things. And for me personally, it's really inspiring and almost helps me feel like more motivated as well. And I feel like everyone kind of uplifts each other. And I think when you find kind of your community or communities on campus, you'll definitely start thriving. And that's how I felt.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone has different backgrounds. So I went to a community college, and they're like everyone who goes to a community college generally are just people in the area, right? And so when I came to USC, I came across people that were from different states and different countries all over the world. And that was something that I did not expect at all. But I think was the thing that surprised me, but also the thing that amazed me, that there's so much people out there and we're all here in the same place, taking classes together and learning the same thing and doing great things.
Absolutely love that answer. And the final question, maybe the most important question, maybe not, is why USC? Give us like your reason why you love it here. Like what's your favorite thing about it? Why you chose it? Why you're still here? So yeah, why USC?
I was going to say, I think USC is a truly one of a kind school. And I think I've made a lot of my, like, literally probably friends for life here. And all of them are incredibly inspiring. But also, in addition to that, just like all the opportunities I've gotten, even this past summer, I think just kind of having the resources from my professors, my research experiences, even my volunteering experiences, kind of gave me a platform for me to be able to launch myself off into that internship opportunity. And then now, hopefully in the future, having even more internship opportunities and eventually having a job opportunity too. And also, I feel like at USC, you can get involved with so many different things. So for example, if you're passionate about fashion, or maybe if you're passionate about art, or maybe if you used to run like track, there's like so many communities here that you can be a part of. And there's also always something happening on campus. Like, for example, every single Wednesday, there's this farmer's market. And also sometimes we have like concerts and events. It just feels like there's so much like active like student body, pretty much activities and everything like that too. So everyone's always like doing something. Everyone's so active. And I think just for me, it's really inspiring how everyone's always doing something. And I think being at USC is definitely a one of a kind experience.
I would say like from the beginning of my whole process coming here, I was obviously drawn to like academically and just like all the unique opportunities here. That was definitely like something that drew me in. I would say what has like really made my experience feel very special and great, like, and makes me want to like keep being here is just there's just something about like, again, like George mentioned, like everyone here is like very accomplished and that's very inspiring. It just makes you want to be like a better version of yourself, and everyone is like so supportive, and I don't know, it just feels like a really great place to be happy and really grow and just kind of like find your passion and really grow into the adult and the career that you want to graduate into, and just grow and learn more about everything.
Yeah, I chose USC because they offered everything that I was looking for in the sense of having a great education. And I was visiting a bunch of schools, after I got all my offers. And when I walked onto the campus and I walked through, I felt like I belonged, right? So I think it's also important to go through the campus if you can, and then just really envision, do I see myself spending the next couple of years here, with the people here, and then of course educating yourself about the programs and the community here. And I think that's what sold it for me. So the great education, I felt like I belonged, and at least for me, it was close to home. Like I'm not too far from LA here.
Oh yeah, those are amazing answers. I remember like coming here and touring my junior year of high school, and like I remember after like the tour and the visit and everything, my mom was like, so what'd you think? And I had like not even thought like once, twice about USC before, but I remember looking over at her and being like, I'm going to come, like, this is it. Like, this is where I want to go. And it's like such a surreal feeling. And then just like thinking back to like the person that I like was in high school and how much I've grown over like just being here for like 1.5 years is like baffled me. So yeah, the people, they're phenomenal. The work environment is so great. And I think that it's just a community where everyone is constantly building each other up and becoming, great engineers, great, whatever you want to be. So I think that that's really cool. And like the diversity here of like how Kenneth was saying, he came here and he was like, oh my goodness, there's people from out of state and out of country and just from everywhere, from all walks of life, who are interested in all of these amazing things and really passionate about those things. I think that's what makes it such a great place to be. And so on that, and I actually want to get in one last question really quick. And that's like, what piece of advice would you have for transfer students?
I would say, again, like I think we already like talked about like the essays, like being authentic and everything is super important. I would say every detail matters in this application. Like you have to be very intentional about everything. I know, like, I don't know if the application still looks like this, but there's like the short answer questions that are the little creative questions, like the one answer questions. I would say those are as important as the longer essay questions, because that's your time for your personality to shine and really show who you are in a different way. And I think that is really important. And just like every other detail, you just be very intentional about everything that you're putting out there.
I would really emphasize to showcase how USC would be a continuation of your experience, but not only a continuation, but how it would be an improvement, and how you would have access to better opportunities to pretty much make yourself into the best version of yourself. And really emphasizing that, I think, is key.
Yeah, I think on my part, I think the biggest thing for me is to believe that you can transfer to USC. I think that's probably the most important thing. I did not know, coming from a community college, that I would ever be here. And so I think when you have that belief, you'll start to take action that will prepare you to be the best possible applicant you can be, if you haven't already been accepted, or like as long as you send out your application and whatnot. The point is to believe. And I think that when you believe, you follow that up with the right action, and then that'll take you somewhere.
Wow, that was a great way to finish this off. Thank you so much for your response, Kenneth, and for the rest of your responses. Your advice has been so helpful. So we are going to wrap up our Q&A session. Thank you guys for all your questions, and don't forget to send any other questions you have to the email, and we'll try to get back to you on those responses at a later date. Alrighty. Okay, so we would love for you to stay connected and find a way to connect with the Viterbi admissions office through an information session. This is a great opportunity for you to learn more about the application process. And so if you're interested, you can register for an info session at the link on the screen. It's a great time to take a picture of the screen so you have this information for later. So in case you ever want to learn more about USC and the admission process and get a little bit more statistical data about admissions, you will have that. So take a picture of the screen, save this for later, and yeah, come and join us for an info session. Now, regarding some resources, we want to take a moment to shout out some of the amazing resources for students. The first one we have here is the Viterbi student website, where you can get some insight to life as an engineer here at USC. So we're just giving you all things Viterbi, a little bit of insight into our lives as engineers. You can check that out at viterbivoices.usc.edu. To learn more about Viterbi, you can visit viterbiundergrad.usc.edu. And then to explore our campus, to go on tours or virtual tours, you can visit that link, theadmission.usc.edu, to check out USC. And then a quick reminder that the transfer deadline is February 15th. Please do not forget this. So get those applications in by the 15th. That is very, very important. And then lastly, we want to stay connected with you. And we want you to stay connected with Viterbi students. So we would love for you to follow us on our social media accounts. We have an Instagram, a Twitter, a newly made and super great TikTok account. We also do podcasts that are on Spotify. And then we have videos on YouTube. This recording of this session will actually be on YouTube. So if you ever need to reference it later, you can go check it out there. So if you want to learn more about what life is like as an engineering student at USC, or just have any more questions for us in general, don't forget, please email vstudent@usc.edu, and we will get back to you with answers to your questions at a later date. Thank you so much for tuning in with us tonight. Thank you for taking your time out to learn a little bit more about what it's like to come to USC, specifically to be a transfer student. Good luck on your applications. You're going to do great. It's going to be phenomenal. Don't sweat it. Stay safe. And as always, fight on. Have a good night, everyone.